Dearest, the sparkliest being, creatress of this world, makers of all things beautiful, I would like to welcome you, drumroll, into Guide to a Magic Life Community 2026. Standing ovation! You are here. You made the leap. Welcome, welcome. This video is an introductory video and an overview into all the gateway, the thresholds, the initiations, the door that will be available to us in connecting to our souls through the pillars of breath, movement, and creativity, which are light post pillars here at Guide to a Magic Life, and really the foundation on which Guide is based within is its resource. So welcome, welcome. My name is Estelle Thompson. I am your mistress of radiance, and you are entering my fortress of light when you are stepping into your own guide to a magic life. The architecture of guide uh, is within a framework of spirals. Healing is a cycle. Just like nature has seasons, we also have cycles within. And I operate guide within a framework of spiral. So the first is our overarching spiral, which is the Guide to a Magic Life Planner 2026. So within this, as your whole architecture and really like the ground on which all the gates will be open this year. Um, at the cover of the planner is usually what I call our meta goddess of the year. Last year we have, let me get you my last year's planner. We had Venus or Aphrodite. So she was our overarching goddess of the year. And this year we have Shakti, which is body of light in the planner. And she's Shakti in your oracle deck of cards. And I'm going to read the oracle a bit later on in the video. So the first cycle is really our cycle within all the months. So this is our big cycle. If you have the planner, it's right here. This is all planned for us. This is the structure. Every good house needs a good foundation. And it's like the womb of our year, a womb. Um, it's very structured. A womb as cycles. It menstruates and then it ovulates and then it goes into the luteal phase and then it goes back again and again. And so, not unlike our menstrual cycle, guide will take you through underworld voyages and voyages on land as well. And best yet, you will have a community on which to resource, nurture, and lean on within your rumblings, your insights, your growth edge. You do not sign up for a program like Guide to Magic Life expecting that it's only going to be within soft landings. There needs to be, I'm hoping, really hoping that when you sign up to Guide, you feel really excited, borderline terrified, because you are entering the territory of new world, of expansion, of things, within the framework of soul. And there is destruction as much as there is creation. And so that's the first cycle is really like the cycle of the year within the structured magic, the symbols, the each month symbols. This year at Guide, we are starting with the gift of Inanna in January. I will go through really quickly together our schedule, but we're starting with one of the most well-known myths of Goddess tradition is the gift of Inanna. So she's our most well-known mermaid and goes underworld, and then she comes back up. So she goes through gates coming down, and then she hangs out in the underworld for a little bit, and then she comes back up. So we'll be very inspired. While Shakti is our meta goddess, we'll be very inspired by Inanna, and also we will orient ourselves through the wheel of nature, which are spring equinox, the solstice, the fall equinox, and then winter solstice, which are also in the planner this year. And so that's one big spiral. So of course the cycle of the planner is the communal, spiral, but then there is your own personal cycle with your word of the year, of course. As I'm filming this right now, I think I'm going to tell you a secret. I think the week before the winter solstice is the most magical, the most miraculous week of all. It's truly the womb of the world. It's a portal I call the darkest of dark. Everything, all the possibilities, everything you will ever create will start in the womb and the fertile void. And so to honor that, to surrender to that, to let to receive the darkness, is such an apprenticeship to that. And every year that goes by, I love darkness, that much, that much more. And so moving in, like right now my word, sometimes some years my word found me really early, and then some years my word kind of found me really late. This year my word hasn't found me just yet. And I stay trusting that the moment will come. And but so that will be my personal mythic journey of the year. So there's the mythic journey of the planner and all the symbols that will navigate. In French, you call it an épopée, which is not just like a voyage, it's like a wonder voyage. It's the Imrama of all Imramas. It's going somewhere as your soul is meant to go, not should go, is meant to go. We're trying to unlearn the shoulds. It's a big thing here at Guide. And so you'll have your own personal mythos of the year through your word of the year, through the shadow of the word of the year, and the symbol of the word of the year. So those are like almost three personal spirals. And at the end of the year, we do a big integration with those. So the first quarter at Guide, really the architecture is to connect with your word of the year. The second quarter is to connect with the shadow of the word of the year. That's really the juice, the shadow, more magic always. And then finally to connect with the visual imagery, the symbol of the word of your word of the year. And I guide you through all that. I'm your mistress of radiance, illuminating the path and sharing my own the only thing I can do is share my own way that I've connected with the symbol. If a symbol is in the planner, if it's presented to you, I have lived it. There's a practical magic to it. I've embodied it. I wouldn't be able to present that to you if I hadn't myself. It would be very dishonest of me. So I've breathed with that symbol. I've moved with that symbol. I've created that with that symbol. And also throughout your newsletters, you will read how I personally estelle my daily life as a mom, as a dog mom, as a wife, as I could throw a hockey mom in there too. I work, how does the symbol work in my life as a modern woman living a modern life in 2026, correct? So it's really important to be able to merge the worlds. They're not separate worlds. And that feels really, really exciting to me. So, the guide is actually very, very structured. There's no secret. You got your whole year laid out for you. The fortress is right here. Your job is to just show up. And that's going to be the hardest thing to consistently, with stamina, with care, with attention. And, right at the top, you'll need to make space for guide. And I've witnessed this pattern so many times in my 15 years, but we get so excited, we start a program and la. And then we can't keep up. We can't contain our own transformation. We actually don't want to give up. There's nothing we we want to change, but there's nothing we want to sacrifice. And there goes the destruction again within the creative cycle. So right now in this week, and if you're watching this as you're on the website right now, this is the perfect time, like from the week before the solstice up until like the beginning of January, like make the space, clear out the actual physical space. You will need to make space on a physical level for guides. So maybe it's like a room in your house, maybe it's a corner of your house, maybe it's like a drawer, maybe it's a box, maybe it's like an atlar. So like create a space for guide because not just you will not only need a physical space, you will need an emotional and a spiritual place. But it will really start with the body. How can I receive God in my life? And again, not God is not one more thing you're gonna pile up. God is going to be weaved into the mosaic, into the lifestyle of your life, so that you are being in God. It's you're not doing God, you're being in it. And so that's really like something I love this idea of like we how can I weave God into my life. Guide is kind of like going on an everyday retreat. This is like the real devotional work. Sometimes we go on retreat and like we're blown wide open and then we come back home. We don't know what to do with this, like, and God really is like the persistence and the rootless part of soul work, but also it's pleasurable. A lot of time it's like we've been taught like, oh, this is hard, it's confrontational, and it really doesn't have to be. This is also really joyful. And it's like this, we are teaching ourselves to create a U-turn back to ourselves, a U-turn back to our aliveness, a U-turn back um, to being one in myself, to being with, can I be with the things that I love, without guilt and without, and can I can I show up for those things that are just waiting? They've been waiting for you. They're like, I'm there, I'm there, I'm there. And finally, you are giving the attention it deserves. So it's like such a big deal to join Guide. Don't make it like a half-ass, go all in, go all in. If you're going to do it, be present for it in your full body. Okay, so that will require you to make space for it. Um, and now, like even before the calls starts, um, make the space, prepare. And then trust that so much of guide is reveals itself to us, not the other way around. Don't ever try to control your guide journey. It's not gonna work. The work just asks us that we show up for it, like we sit our ass down and we breathe and and right at the top of the year, you'll get to do your why. Like, why did you sign up? It's so because we forget. I know it's crazy, but like we forget. And then a few months in, you're like, what's going on? But it's like, why is it important that you do a U-turn back for yourself? Why is it important that you practice being with yourself in all that you are without rejecting any part that you are? Um, yourself is not to be agreed, or there's no right or wrong. There's really just the presence of your being in all its aliveness and inner spark. Yeah. And so we'll talk a lot about Shakti this year as she is the meta goddess of our year. So, as mentioned before, there is a collective mythos to guide. Together, we are entering each gate of each month through goddesses, and this year there's Will of the Years that orient us, that gives us theme, that makes us, it's a really specific, high dose, a frequency of, really primitive and ancient energies in us that have always been like symbols. they live in our unconscious. And so, they ask of you that you wake up to them. And sometimes that some symbols are easy and they feel soft and tender and almost nostalgic, and others feel violent and aggressive. And, and being willing to be there in body. And so the idea is like to live this planner, not just like it's not separate from you. You're looking at it and you're gathering information. No way. You are you're showing me how do you live your own guide to a magic life through your personal intention of the year. And this will be your word of the year. So make guide personal, intimate, delicate to you, subtle to you. This is how any practice, whether it be an apprenticeship with soul, just sticks, is that it's yours and only yours. And because you're at guide, I'm showing you my way. Okay. So it's like Estelle's way, Estelle's inspiration. How do I connect with soul? How do I work with that symbol? How do I yeah, I just share it's like somebody the other day said, it's like the Estelle portal. It is the Estelle portal. You are in my fortress. So I show you how I illuminate myself, and I don't need anybody to do that but me. And that's really what this girl is about this year. And so let me take you really quickly through again the architecture, the structure of guide. And really give you a feel for it. So we start at the top of January in Mermaid Land. We will be with the gift of Inanna. Inanna goes down. So when you have the planner, everything's at your disposition, of course. I list all the ways that you will connect all the time with the goddesses. And of course, at the top of every month, you have your call with me, which is meant to be educational and inspiring. And we do usually have time to do some sharing. And Inanna is all about this understanding of the descent and the ascent, going down and going up. And it's really important to be able to, it's like the sacred dual path of we can hold both and we can be both. And also it's, when she goes down, she drops all her identities, all her me's. And when she comes back up, she reclaims them. Um, but obviously she's not going back to who she was. She comes back. So this is like a really important lore, very important fable in like feminine magic lore. And I think as women, a lot of us do connect to mermaids and fairies and these like mythical beings, in that we are in a way both from water and from earth. And I think to claim ourselves as like our mermaid parts is a really important part of our feminine magic journeys and our she quests in general. So we'll start really strong at the top of the year, really speaking of this mermaid lineage. We'll go into the gift of Artemis in February. Artemis, she's like the nature, the woman for Diana. And she Artemis is proud of her body. And so I think, the two first months at Guide, usually they're really meant to like, for you to have an understanding of how being in a woman's circle is a somatic journey. It's being able, so with the mermaid, you are able to go down, descend, surrender. And with Artemis, you love your body so much, you boldly love yourself so much that there's like a self-respect here. So February is a good time to really own in on the rituals that we've ignited and activated in the darkest parts of the year. There's a devotion to guide, there's a heart path to guide. It's always going back, like dropping your frontal brain into your heart. It's a lot of ego death to be and guide, and to engage in soul work. And again, like to draw, again, I always see it's like you drop your mask, show me your real face. speak from the heart, move from the heart. And to do that, well, we need to practice it first. Again, it's an apprenticeship. And we've lost that art, right? Now in our world, we get everything fast. We everything's a click away, skip the dishes. We can go from one place to another in one day. I'm in Halifax and literally like 4 hours later, I'm in Rome. Like, how incredible is that? It's incredible. And also, we've lost that soul work is slow work. And we need to prepare our bodies to be able to receive the materials of our lives. Um, and so, Artemis, she has like her arrow. There's something very, almost a bit cutthroat about her. She's like the wild archetype as well. I really love her imagery. There's like the wisdom, eye of wisdom here, and the butterfly as her face, and a little antennas here. In March, of course, it's the spring equinox. So this year we'll really own in and orient ourselves with the seasons. And of course, the really important nature axis of the year. And again, I think in a world that's like speeding up with AI and just modernity in general, to be able to go back to these really like just ancient practices will really help. So the spring equinox oracle, I call it light awakens. And also I'd guide, this like starting to reveal yourself to us. This year, I'm excited through the newsletters that you will be getting each week. We will do some guide features. So we'll present some of the guide members to everyone. And it's a chance, to awaken to your light. Like, tell us your story. Tell us how you got here. Tell us, your wound, and tell us what you're working on. Tell us your rituals, but also like tell us your like who are you and where do you live, and and all this. So it'll be a great opportunity to do that. So this is really like the archetype of inner spring, kind of more maiden. And then April, I'm really excited. We will study the Never Not Broken goddess. She's a new goddess for me. And this is very like bodhisattva, kind of like my broken heart makes me invincible. It makes me think of the Taylor Swift, I can do it with a broken heart. And that goddess, she's riding a crocodile. And she's like, she doesn't mind being uncomfortable. Again, something also that I think we've lost um, into this like modern, everything's at our doorstep kind of situation. Um, so yeah, we have that. Moving on to May. Oh, we have Diana in May. Is it Diana? Hold on. Bridget. So we have Bridget in May. I actually courted Bridget when I went to Ireland last year and I went to visit some Bridget temples. So Bridget is all about the inner flame. Bridget is in May, and that's the great crossover flowers and fire, Beltane. And so again, another like she's a very grounded in her body goddess. And there's like a lot of protection to her, protecting our fire, protecting our Agni, and also a reverence. Something we often come back to at Guide is this aspect of pleasure and eros. Eros, not, of course, it includes sexual energies, but eros being in the world at large, in our reality at large, in looking out into my backyard and seeing it, uh, seeing nature in complete lovemaking. And so May is going to be, I connect with my inner spark. I bow on the flowers ready to grow. And then moving on to June. June is an important month at Guide because it's the halfway mark of the year. So we're at the summer solstice, of course. This is again, we're going to talk here about being visible out into the world, more about taking off our mask and going from like the cocoon of winter into the visibility of of summer and the resistance we can have here, I think, as women, not just as women, but as magical women, to take the full blunt, because being out in the world also means we need to be strong enough to the world to receive us, and like it's like the feedback loop, correct? So having a nervous system, and this we get this, our nervous system gets resource that guide through the access you get through your breath studio, all the audio meditation that are created for you each month, but also that you can on your own do your personal quest with that. The movement studio, hundreds of yoga class, dance classes, and creativity as well. So you get all these resources for you. In July, we are courting Athena. Athena is a leader goddess. She's a warrior goddess, and her companion is the owl. The month is called Where My Heart Leads. Um, so all my summers are usually led with something I've called heart spark. So from the heart, summers are kind of like all heart for me. Um, and Athena too, it's like going back almost to January, where she's unafraid of the dark, she's unafraid of the unknown, and speaking to what does it mean to lead from the heart instead of leading, from fear. So we'll be doing that in August. We are back to breathing underwater, and we're back in Mermaid Land, Queen of the Sea. So that will be in August. So we'll talk about the ocean and the water. And there's like a moistness with all the mermaid when we're talking about mermaids. I have a great mermaid painting course that goes with that I'm going to repackage this year. I cannot wait. And also being a mermaid kind of speaks to surviving kind of the depths of how far we can go into our explorations, into our transformation. And the mermaid allows us to go really, really, really deep. I can't wait for that month. Now is September. September usually takes a turn at guide, where now we're back into Earth. So of course the fall equinox is then. So we'll be studying the fall equinox as Earth surrender. So right to the end of September, that's kind of like from January to September. We've really connected, and then by September too, like we've really acquainted ourselves and courted the shadow of the word of the year. So we've done word of the year, shadow of the word of the year, so that by October, November, December, we're literally just harvesting what we've put in motion from our word of the year connections and the shadow of the word of the year connection as well. I'm just going to show you my thing. So, for example, my word last year was bold love. Behind was the shadow of that word was bold loss, and my symbol this year was the mountain. And so I work with that until the fall equinox, and then it's like the great shavasana of my word of the year. Um, and I kind of surrender to all the seed that I planted, all the small daily acts of bravery, all these like little visible aspect that I've done from my word. And it's like I literally just, okay, what have I learned this year? You don't do that in January. You start doing that during the fall. And not only that, but nature kind of is a great orchestra with you. It's following you into this like chorus, and this nervous system that you've created. I want to show you all the connections that I made last year with my word of the year. I also wrote many Substacks about it, so you can go on my Substack. But this is a project that we nurture on each of the Sunday calls. And it also gives you, I love it so much because it actually looks like a nervous system. But that's what I mean when it's like when you enter Guide to a Magic Life, you enter a nervous system with its own really high frequency. Um, you enter, you have your personal heart, but when you enter guide, you enter a one heart. So by September, you're kind of allowing yourself to see what was the essential things that you've gathered. It's like the wisdom gathering of your word of the year. Um, in October, we're doing the gift of Saraswati. Saraswati was one of the first goddess I ever courted. I'm very kindred to her. She's the goddess of poetry and communication. And my rising is in Gemini. So I'm someone that I love communicating. And of course, I became a teacher. So very kindred to that. Um, Saraswati, she's authentic, she's honest, she's wise, she has her salon. And she's about creative sparks and letting yourself have insights. And I think too, it's like to have inspiration, we need to keep our channels open to receive them. And then, even more so to be able to act upon our inspiration. So in October we'll be in that. And then in November we are in our Mother Goddess month. So this is a perfect placement for her, for Shakti, which is also Gaia, which is also Terra Mater. And I've worked with her so many ways where like she was like the earth, my earth body for so long. And then the more I worked with her, the more I realized, no, she's actually my light body. So see how it's like working with sacred duality. It's like things that you think would be separate, they're actually not. And I could hold both earth and light within me. And in that way, that makes my fortress really, really, really stable. And I just want to read that to you because that's what we're really going to be owning on this year at Guide to Magic Life Community. So it says, today it's safe for me to create my own belonging in this world. This is really important. I can create my own belonging in this world. I don't need anybody to tell me I have the right to exist. I know I exist. Um, that's really important. Today, it is safe for me to create my own belonging in this world. I live in my thoughts and emotions. I exist to release and liberate. I pulse, dance, and charge into the universe. Knowing I'm powerful and full of inner gifts. Shakti is expressed fully through me. Shakti is me. So this is the cosmic mother in my desk. And Shakti, she's not a new archetype. We've been working with her since the beginning of when I first launched SheQuest. And yet there's so much to gain from her, uncover from her, unlearn from her, and discover your own inner gifts. So that will be, and I want you just to notice how, she's holding her own spiral of creation. And also she's in the stars. So she's both in the earth as she is in the cosmos. And Yeah. And then December, we are back to the winter solstice um, as we close in the container for guide in 2026. So, guide for me is really from solstice to solstice, right? From the darkest of dark to each darkest of dark. And that makes the most sense of them all. So, welcome to you. Thank you for your willingness to open yourselves up um, to it's been a mission of mine to create brave and landings for women to come and practice showing up as they are and practice um, visibility, showing us like take off your mask, show us who you are, and a privilege to know women on that level. It really occurred to me this year. It's not every woman that gets to witness other women in this contract. And to not have that would be a tragedy to me. And it's such a privilege to have you here present with us. Your light is really a gift to us. Um, and I cannot wait to witness you this year as you unfold into the flower, the goddess, the fairy, the mermaid, the truly incredible, proud lioness, um, feminine magic woman that you are. I love you so much, and we'll see you on our first Sunday call. Take good care. Bye.